Okay, so we are here with JoAnna Bledsoe. Tell us about yourself and why you're here.
Um, my name is JoAnna Bledsoe, and I'm a senior at UMKC. I'm graduating in December. I am a double degree major in theater performance and psychology. I transferred over to UMKC after graduating from Longview with my associate in arts back in fall of 2012. I am a waitress at Snow and Company in the downtown arts district. I am an aspiring actress, director, counselor, hoping to use theater as a therapy with my patients after I earn my master's in the next 2 or 3 years.
So your psychology degree is helping you understand developments in characters and just how people act.
Absolutely, yes. With psychology and theater, when you think about it, they go hand in hand because it's the study of human behavior. And when you're an actress, you have to understand your character's behavior, why they do the things they do, why they're acting this way, the choices that they make. And when you have psychology, that's all that is. It's studying, this is why we do what we do. This is why we have these emotions. This is why we get angry in these situations. This is why we're happy. This is why we're sad. So definitely they go hand in hand, and it's a huge deal for any actor, director to take. And it's not just getting your degree in psychology, even if you take just a couple courses in psychology, just to have that knowledge base, just it helps a lot.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you have an idea of what you want to do with your degree. All right, so tell us about the name of your show and tell us just a little bit about it.
It is called Reasons to Be Pretty. It's by Neil LaBute. Neil LaBute is a playwright. He's been around for about the last 10 or 12 years. This play was written in 2008, so it's not terribly new, but not old by any means. If you're familiar with Neil LaBute's plays, he writes a lot about body image.
Which we all are.
Right, yeah. Fat Pig is one of his most famous ones. The Living Room in downtown Kansas City just did that. You'll see a distinct pattern with all of his plays. Body image, like I said, relationship issues, just real gritty, really intimate. His plays never have probably more than 10 characters. And there's never really more than 2 or 3 people on the stage at one time, just because he likes that intimacy. It's kind of like his plays almost always break the fourth wall, because it's just like you're right there in these people's lives with their relationship issues, and it's almost like it's a peep show into what really goes on in people's lives. The quote, I would use Facebook as an example. Like, we all just see like the best parts of people on Facebook because we like to promote that. This is what you don't see in people's lives, the issues that they face every day. And it's just real. That's what I love about Neil LaBute, and especially this play, Reasons to Be Pretty, is it's so real to human nature how these people act.
So insight is a big part in what he writes.
Yeah, it is. And it's just so funny how we're not truthful in real life with ourselves, and we're not honest. And I think it's because in the society we just like we have to promote like happiness, and that we're perfect. We don't have issues, we don't have problems, and that's bullshit. Like, everybody does, and no relationship is perfect. And you say, well, duh, everybody knows that. But we don't promote that in society. We cover those things up. We sweep those things under the rug, and we act like we're perfect and nothing's wrong.
Right. It definitely sounds like a message everyone needs to hear every once in a while.
Yeah.
So how has the play been coming along so far?
It's been a learning experience, is what I first want to say. It is going well. I have a very talented group of actors, crew, designers working with me that are really dedicated to this show, which is awesome because they're all students. This show is being put on by the University Theater Association of UMKC, which is, like I said, a student-run organization. It's student directors, student designers, student actors. We all come together, and we have to basically put on a show by ourselves with our own resources
So you guys have no outside professional help. It's all students.
Yes. We do have a faculty supervisor who comes in and makes sure everything's running smoothly and then we are doing our jobs right, and gives us a little advice and help along the way. But, I mean, it is us putting on this performance. And it's a chance for us. UTA is a chance for students to really know what it's like, how professional shows are really run. Like, this is what it takes. This is what you have to do.
Because you're doing it all by yourself.
Right, exactly. Which, I mean, in the professional world, you're not really doing it by yourself because you have the resources, but this is just like, it's a huge learning experience, to kind of get that insight, to really know what it takes to put on a show. But like I said, it's going really well. It's been very stressful because it's my first show, it's my directorial debut, and just kind of trusting myself that I know what I'm doing, and getting everything lined up and making sure I've taken care of everything.
Right, you're in the control seat now.
Right, exactly. And that's
so that's a big change. What do you think has been the biggest change, other than the obvious, like your role in the play? What do you think has been the biggest change in your mindset going from an actress, which you've had tons of experience in, to being a director in your first show?
The biggest change from actress to director? It's the biggest change. Again, going back to what I was saying earlier about in regards to the last question, it's scary being in control of everything, knowing that you have to take care of everything. You have to make sure your designers are doing their job and the actors are doing their job, and then the set's getting done. It's kind of like you have to know everything. You have to know everybody's part. You have to be on top of everybody and make sure everything is coming together the way you see it in your head. And that's hard, especially when, sometimes people don't agree with you, actors don't agree with your direction. It's hard playing that role because you have to be not so nice. That's been hard too.
Right,
because as the actress, it's like those are your, I mean, these are my peers because they're students. And that's been difficult too because all of a sudden I'm in a position of power. I'm the director, but I've had no experience in the past. It's just claiming that position and saying, okay, I am the boss right now, and this is what's going to happen. This is what goes, and just putting on your big girl pants, so to speak, and just having that confidence that, okay, you know what, I'm doing this job, and then as long as you're working hard at it and you're respecting everyone else around you, I don't expect them to respect me, my team to respect me if I'm not giving them respect.
Right.
That's been the hardest, is just stepping up and being the boss.
Has that put you out of your comfort zone, do you think?
It has, a lot. Because, again, it's like, these are my peers, these are my friends that I've been in shows with as an actress, and it's like, sometimes you're just like, okay, should I say this right now? Because it might sound mean, but I'm the director, so I have to say it, but I'm not saying it in any way that's condescending or hurtful to them, but I have to say, I didn't like that choice, we're doing something different. Oh no, is that going to hurt their feelings? You can't think like that because you're the director. You have to. It's for the sake of the show. It's
right,
for everybody's sake.
It's definitely strange being the one to tell your friends what to do, especially when you're all kind of like at the same point in your lives as far as like your career goes.
Exactly, because it's like you're like, well, I'm not above you, but when you think about it, it doesn't even matter. I always go back to, we all learn from each other. And it doesn't matter how old you are and what degrees you have and what experience you have. You can always learn from somebody else, no matter what their age is. I understand people have different experiences and some people have more experiences, obviously. But that doesn't mean you can't learn from even someone that's 12 or 10 years old. You can always learn from anybody.
And you're definitely learning a lot from your first time being a director.
Yes, definitely.
What are some of the special challenges you faced, like some of the things you didn't necessarily anticipate when going into the show?
Special challenges.
If any at all.
Well, again, just like what we were talking about, just trusting yourself, knowing that, this is, I'm going into this with no experience in directing. Like, I've always kind of been a director in my mind when I was on set as an
Right.
actress wanting to direct, but I would never speak it out loud because I believe, I don't believe in backstage directing. I don't believe, unless you have the authority to do that, the director has given you that authority, don't do it. That has been my biggest issue. And I went into this going, I know I'm going to love this, but I didn't know how hard it was going to be, because it's just like I said, you have to have the confidence that says, okay, I know what I'm doing here, and not everyone's going to love it, but as long as you're happy with your final product and you've worked hard to achieve it, then that's all you can do.
So would you say the biggest difference is going from being told that what you've done is good or bad to being the one to have to tell somebody that what they've done is good or bad, or good for the show, like you were saying earlier?
Like, as far as giving a direction
Yeah.
to actors.
Like being the one to have to say, I don't like what you did there, could you do it like this instead?
So what's the biggest difference
Yeah.
between getting it and giving it?
Well, it's just like, is that what you think the biggest difference is having to be the one to say it instead of being told it? Or is there something else that...
between being a director and actor?
Yes.
No, that's not the biggest difference. The biggest difference, I think, would be, again, I'm repeating myself, but the biggest difference would be you having to know everything, every single part of this play.
Because you're going from just knowing your lines and your blocking to having to know when everything is supposed to happen
Right.
in succession.
So it all comes together in a cohesive manner. Yeah, that's been the biggest biggest change from actor to director.
I bet your script notes look entirely different from actress notes, don't they?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So how did you get involved with the show or decide to direct it?
Well, I knew that directing was something that I always wanted to go into, and the University Theater Association, as I mentioned earlier, who's producing the show at UMKC, is the student organization, and they made an announcement in our production class, which is a class we have to take every semester as theater majors, which it's basically we meet one day a week and we get together and we talk about, we'll have workshops and stuff, whatever we're studying that semester, that will be the theme for next semester's play. Is basically what this class is. But UTA will make announcements in this class, and they made their announcement about looking for directors for UTA's summer show, which is the only time UTA ever does anything, is they do one summer show every year.
Is this your first show with UTA?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I auditioned before for them, but I never applied as director. But so they were seeking directors, and they said this is what they were looking for, submit your plays and why you want to direct it and what's your vision for it, and then they would have their decision made about directors. And
How in advance do you get a copy of the script before they decide who's directing it?
Well, since I submitted the plays that I wanted to direct, I just went and got them, like on Amazon or something. I just got, or I had, it was already like something in my mind. Oh, I wanted to direct this play. I'd actually I hadn't read Reasons to Be Pretty before I submitted it. I knew about it. I knew what it was about. And then I got it and I read it and I'm like, okay, this is the one, because it was in the back of my mind. I know Neil LaBute's shows. I know Fat Pig and some of his others. And after I read the play, I'm like, I know this is the one that I want to submit. So I submitted it, and it was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks later that they contacted me and said that they had selected me for director for the UTA summer show.
Okay. So you had a play in mind already, and you knew that you wanted to direct, and they gave you the opportunity to direct that summer. How did you go about composing your vision of this show? Or was there any special techniques that you used?
Basically, it started, with the script, reading it several times over, and then going back and reading it again and making notes about each of the characters.
So make sure you read it first, just as an audience member,
yes,
basically.
Yes. Some people believe that you should watch, if there's a movie about it, just to see or another production of it. Unfortunately, there was no productions of the show going on at the time, so I couldn't reference any of that. So basically just had the script to reference. I read up about, obviously, again, about Neil Abute, and just to make sure I had all my information on him. Because, like I said, all of his plays have a distinct pattern and theme. But yeah, just going through the script and, like I said, making specific notes and getting the big idea, the big picture of the play. Like, what is this play about? What's the big idea? And what's everybody about in this play? And what are they wanting? And their circumstances and how that's going to play in to how they relate to everybody else on stage.
And could you remind us again real quick what the meaning of this play is?
The big idea of this play is we have 4 people, 2 couples.
Okay.
And none of them know who they are. And when you don't, the big idea, they're all searching for happiness in certain ways. We have Steph and Greg, who are the lead couple. Steph is very insecure. She has no self-efficacy, meaning she doesn't see herself as really anybody. She's always dumbing herself down. And then you have her boyfriend, Greg, who doesn't necessarily know how to compliment a woman. And Steph is always trying to change him so that she can get what she needs from him to feel secure about herself. She doesn't think she's very pretty. Greg secretly, and I say secretly, maybe that's not the best word, but he does love her, and he thinks she's beautiful, but he can't. He's like a lot of guys, not to sound sexist, but it's just like some guys, I don't know, have trouble giving a girl a compliment because they feel weird or they feel corny.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Carly and Kent. Carly is supposedly this beautiful, gorgeous, drop-dead, model-esque type girl. And you've got her boyfriend, Kent, who is cheating on her. And, he's constantly sleeping around with other girls. And that's all he is about. But at the same time, he's so insecure. He's thinking that Carly is cheating on him. So he goes out and cheats. And really, she's the one who's faithful the entire time. So it's really just like, when I go back to the big idea of this play, which I haven't really stated it yet, when I started with the title, reasons to be pretty. What are the reasons to be pretty? When you think about that, that's a really weird question. Is there a reason to be pretty? Well, when you think about of a girl, what's my reasons to be pretty? Okay, it gets me a boyfriend, it gets me security, it gives me attention. The guys open the door for me. But what if you're not so-called pretty according to society's rules? We have this standard of beauty in society that says you have to look like this
mm-hmm.
in order to get this. And that's what Steph thinks. If I was just a little bit prettier, if I was just, I don't know, if I had this, or if I had these clothes, or if I had this money, I would get the guy that I want and I'd be more happy. So with that in mind, the big idea of this play is these are people who don't know who they are. And you can't possibly be happy in life with yourself. You can't be in a relationship, a successful relationship with somebody if you don't even know who you are, because you are going to constantly try to change the person that you're with to match what you want, and you're constantly trying to change yourself because you're not happy with what you see. That's the big idea of this play. You can't have real happiness if you don't know who you are.
So it sounds like confidence is a big issue between the 4 of these 4 main characters in the play.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's something that everyone struggles with in life? Confidence, especially in the state of the world today where we do have this standard of beauty for both males and females.
I definitely do, because again, like we've painted this picture in society. Hollywood doesn't help with their images of what it's like. Who said this was wrong and who said this was right? Who said that a 200-pound girl is not attractive? Now there's a line you have to cross there, because you can be heftier, so to speak, and still be healthy. I don't want to push it if you're at an unhealthy weight, then yeah, you need to change something, because that'll affect your.
Yeah, there's definitely a line that like there's just this pressure that we've put on ourselves, and that it's more like we put on each other, that there's so much fear of offending one another that you can't be honest with someone else when they have crossed that line between being unhealthy and just a little bit overweight. You're not saying necessarily that that person is unattractive or not,
Right.
but there is a certain point where it gets to be unhealthy.
Right. And this is true in probably any society, and it's not just America. There's always just there's these standards, and I don't honestly, it's like, where and why did we all of a sudden just say, okay, this is the standard, this is what you got to look like, and then otherwise you're just not attractive. And so we're always, and it's not just looks, it's anything. It's money, it's your job position, it's what who your friends are. It's just we put everybody on this food chain, like, oh well, I'm above you and I've got this, and then everybody wants to be like that person, everybody wants to be friends with that person because they think they're, quote, above that person, and so they're going to change themselves to be like who they think is better than everybody else. And it's this constant just bullshit cycle, and we end up back in the same ditch because we're never going to live up to that. We're never going to be that person. We're who we are, but we don't know who we are, so we're constantly trying to aspire to be somebody else. And it's like I don't know if we'll ever figure it out. We probably won't. I mean, like I said, Hollywood, the music industry, it doesn't matter who it is, they don't help with the picture that they paint.
Right. Social status is definitely based on appearances.
Yeah. It's just like, I could talk forever, but it's just like, what's the answer? I don't know. It's people changing their minds and going, everybody's equal, but, I don't, that's kind of probably a fairy tale dream to think that will ever happen. It probably will not ever happen.
So backpedaling a little bit to this being your first show, what do you think were your biggest influences as director?
Biggest influences as director. Two people that come to mind. My first drama teacher, Joyce Kuhn, who is the lead theater teacher at Longview Community College, where I graduated back in 2012.
A fantastic director for anyone who doesn't know her.
Yes, she's been around for a long time. She's been directing and in the theater community of Kansas City for over 50 years. She's taught at UMKC, UCM, and now Longview for the past 22, 23 years. Like I said, she was my first acting teacher, my first director. She gave me my first shot on the stage. The biggest lesson that she ever taught me, and it'll always stick in my mind, and it just makes so much sense, and it's always something that I'll carry with me, is she told me that acting is not about the glorification of talent. It's not about you up there, which a lot of people think it's about them. So we get all these egos from in theater. Just, it's about me, and I'm the star of the show, and everyone's here to see me, and I'm so good. It has nothing to do with that. But we've gotten away from that, which is another subject that I'll get on the soapbox all day about that. It's about learning from someone else. It's about stepping into someone else's shoes and seeing what their life is like, seeing what they've had to walk through, and telling their story. That's what it's about. It's about the character. It's about telling that story. That's why the audience is there. They want to hear the story about whoever these people are, their past, what they're struggling with right now, their relationship to the other characters. It's not about how good of a performance you gave, and because it's not about you. You're telling a story about someone else's life, and you should be learning from that person. That's the biggest thing that you should take away as an actor, is learning from that other character. And it makes you, I believe that actors, real actors who understand that, they're the smartest people, because they understand not only just human behavior, but they become less judgmental of other people, because they go, I had to step in to someone else's shoes and learn from them. And even if it's a fictional character, it doesn't matter, because, that could be somebody's life. even though it's made up from, it may not be a true to life story, but if it's written in such a way where it's like you can relate to that person, you see some truth, you go, oh my God, yeah, I totally, wow, I've been there before. And you just become, if you really take that as an actor in in that person's shoes and just step in, every time it doesn't matter how many experiences I have, and the more experiences I have on stage and with this, it just makes you just more open and just more understanding of people.
So you definitely believe that there's something we can learn from every character.
Exactly.
No
yeah.
matter what. There's always a little piece of our lives that each character can represent.
No, it's true. Yeah. And the other person who's influenced me a lot is Scott Stackhouse. He's the resident acting, directing teacher at UMKC. He's been there for the last 2 or 3 years. He used to teach at JUCO, Johnson County Community College. He taught there for about 4 or 5 years. But again, just like amazing. Just what I've learned from him, I just can't even, I can't thank him enough for how he's influenced me. Probably the biggest thing that I've learned from him is just when you're on stage and you're in this character is letting everything else go, like letting your fears go, because again, going back to what Joyce taught me, is it's not about you on that stage. I understand and opening night jitters and oh my God, being nervous, but when you really let yourself go and you just, okay, I've done the work, we've rehearsed this, I know who my character is, I know what I want, I know what I have to do to get it. It's like if you really release that, it's not about you. You've let you go, and it's about the character and the story.
So it's making the transition from being an actor that's portraying a character, from shedding who you are as a person and actually stepping into the shoes of the character.
Right. And it's not to say that, there's sometimes, I've played characters that remind me of me, and that helps too. It's like you use a part of yourself, which makes you even more believable as an actor on stage. Is you always want to try to find, even if it's some character, it could be an asshole character or whatever you want to say. There's some way that you can relate to that person, and you want to find those things so that you can even understand even more of that character to portray it on stage.
Yeah, definitely.
To the audience.
So I think we all know the answer to this next question, but is there definitely something you can see yourself doing more of, directing, that is?
Oh, see myself directing more? Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've, once this show is, it's not open yet, but still a lot to do. We've got 3 more weeks, but absolutely this has been, I will never take this experience for granted. Like, it's been super stressful, but I've learned so much, and I have yet to learn so much. I can never, ever. You
never stop learning. Definitely something that you've said in this interview.
Yeah, and I just can't be thankful enough for this opportunity. It's been a lot of fun and a lot of work, and definitely going to keep on directing for sure.
Yeah, you got to learn to love to be busy.
Yes. So
is there any advice you would give to anybody interested in directing?
Any advice? Know who you are as a director, your style choices, because everyone's going to have a different route that they go. You definitely want to know who you are, because you don't want someone to come in and go, well, that wasn't a good choice, and there's certain times where that's like a fine line to draw, because you could be making a mistake, but it's your mistake to make. But you have to know your style and your choices, and you can't let somebody come in and try to change you, because you're not going to be happy with that. You changed it because someone told you to change it. It wasn't your choice.
So be confident in the choices you make.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Like I said in the beginning, just be confident in the choices that you make. That's the biggest thing coming into directing, is you have to have that confidence. And it's been hard. It hasn't been easy at all to be confident like that and go, yeah, this is totally going to work, And maybe it's different for someone who's been directing 20 years, but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they still have those issues where it's like, oh, was that a good choice? I don't know. and they're still having to trust themselves after 20 years, and they've directed 50 plus shows, you know. That's definitely, I believe that's like one of the biggest keys going in, because if you don't have that, then you're just going to keep second guessing yourself, and then you're going to pick from other people's directing, and it's not even going to be your own work. So
always keep true to the vision that you had, and not necessarily the immediate vision you had at first, because obviously things change with different actors.
Yeah, and you realize,
but definitely always maintain confidence in your vision of the show.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, thank you for talking to me, JoAnna. It was nice talking to you.
It was nice talking to you.
Would you mind telling everybody at home, so to speak, the name of your show and the days it's debuting and where to come see it?
The show again is Reasons to Be Pretty, and we start previews August 26th and the 27th. That's a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And then we have opening night the 28th, which is a Thursday, and we perform the 29th and the 30th. Again, that's in August. That's at the end of this month. All the shows start at 7:30. It's free. You don't have to pay. And then all the performances take place in the Performing Arts Center. It is the Spencer Theater on the UMKC campus. It's the Kansas City Repertory Theater. It's in the Black Box downstairs. It's the PAC 116.
And we all definitely look forward to seeing it. Your first show as a director. Yes. Could you be more excited?
I couldn't be more excited.
Well, thanks a lot for seeing us, JoAnna.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You got my cards all out of order. It's great.
Sorry.